hosts of a popular alternative news group out of Milwaukee that ran a website and a syndicated radio show called The Rundown Live, featuring Mike Pachesny and Kristan T. Harris. And I still love Mike and Kristan to this day. And on a side note, Kristan Harris has gone on to achieve some serious success in journalism. In fact, just today he was filling in as a guest host on some InfoWars show. But this was about a decade ago, and at that time we were operating at more of an amateur level. You know, just a group of young men who were passionate about the quest for truth and the fight for liberty that were working together for the benefit of humanity. It was a really beautiful thing, honestly. You know, a truly positive grassroots movement that I had the privilege to participate in. After about a full year of hard work and planning, we released the first issue of our magazine in January 2014. It was called Waking Up Wisconsin Magazine, Volume 1, Issue 1. And it included a bunch of original articles from myself and the other group members, as well as some submitted articles and interviews from our friends at the Rundown Live, who at that point had become partners and affiliates. And we also acquired some local sponsors from the area who were gracious enough to purchase ad space in our magazine, and that really helped us to raise the necessary funds that we needed to print our first run. And once we did, and the magazine was published, it turned out to be a real success. I mean, we were just a local operation, and we only printed like 1,000 copies, if memory serves me correctly. So it's not like we blew up on the national stage or anything, but we definitely achieved what we set out to do. The quality of our magazine was great, and we were getting a lot of favorable feedback from people. And Waking Up Wisconsin Magazine was officially on the map. About a year later, in March of 2015, and shortly after publishing our third issue, we were at one of our weekly meetings, and everybody was huddling around Doug's computer as we searched the internet to see what people were saying about our magazine online. And on this particular evening, while sifting through search results, we came across a very peculiar website that was linking back to Waking Up Wisconsin Magazine. And it included a phrase that none of us had ever heard before: fake news. That was a term that was completely foreign to us. This was well over a year before the expression fake news would become weaponized and popularized during the 2016 election. But yet, there we were, in bold letters, Waking Up Wisconsin, on a website called fakenewswatch.com. Some other sites listed included names like Breitbart or The Drudge Report and InfoWars and Zero Hedge and WorldNet Daily and Natural News and, websites like this. And the list also included our good friends over at the Rundown Live. And at the time that we came across this discovery, we just so happened to be listening to the Rundown's live show at that time. And so we decided to call in and talk about it.
Here is a flashback clip, as I've mentioned many times before, on the American Intelligence Report. When I did the show, The Rundown Live, several years ago, we received a call from local activists Waking Up Wisconsin. On that call, they reported to us a discovery of a fake news watch list. And when we researched this list, it tied back to a person or a Republican running for assembly in Illinois. That fake news list, amongst others, collaborated together, became what is today seen by our government the top websites you do not want to read, including Truth Frequency Radio and yours truly. So here it is, a flashback to 2015 of March.
We got a 262 on the Rundown Live. Your name, how you doing?
And where you from?
Well, hey guys, this is Tim, Doug, and Bilal.
It's our friends.
Waking Up Wisconsin.
Wait, never mind. We don't have any friends, remember?
There is no Waking Up Wisconsin. Just kidding, guys.
We're having our normal Friday meeting and listening to the Rundown, and we said, hey, you know what? Let's call into the Rundown. Because it's been a while. And so anyways, we're on the way. I just saw you guys recently on a website called fakenewswatch.com. Have you seen that?
We're on the Fake News Watch.
Yeah, you guys were right above wakingupwisconsin.com.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, look that up. Fake News Watch. They're there to kind of weed out the legitimate news from the conspiratorial fake news, as they call it. And they listed Drudge Report, InfoWars. It was just amazing. There was a whole bunch of sites listed, and sure enough, we were right there too.
It doesn't
Who else
surprise
was on
me.
the list? Fake news site was on their own list.
Yeah, put them on there.
Yeah.
So anyways, just wanted to call in and tell you guys that.
Well,
And,
great news there, Tim. We're on the fake news list. That's just wonderful.
It's really not bad news. I mean, of course, we're on that type of site. What kind of got me about it was just FCC internet takeover business going on. I thought
Tim,
it
you're
was
right, because we and Kristan, we've already been talking about this, and I find it hilarious. I think it's funny. But Kristan and me were just talking about this, the idea of being censored out of Google due to not being credible. So our results will be lower listed because we are conspiracy and we don't talk about
Well,
the truth.
Google works to rank sites based on truthfulness. You think we'd rank at the top?
Yeah, you think we'd be up there,
We'd
but
be like
nope.
number one.
You can read through the list. Any of the listeners right now, you can check it out. The list is all a lot of really good sites that are actually quite credible. I mean, to include something like the Drudge Report, which is just a news aggregator. Yeah, we're considered clickbait. We're considered. They have a
Yeah,
summary
but
for the.
to who?
You guys are to the Rundown Live, Mike. Who do you think?
I mean, this is the thing. Like, the people that are reading this, who are, like, all they have to do is look at the site and judge it for themselves, and that's the whole thing.
Right.
Judge the information for what it's worth. We've always said that from day one. We don't really know at the end of the day. We base things on what we've learned and other stories and other facts that, have come about. So it's like, how can anybody really know for sure at the end of the day? And then just label something fake unless it's completely made up, like something like National Report. It's kind of ridiculous. But they want us to be on that level because that's a lot easier then. If they can just discount it as fake clickbait, then they don't have to deal with any of the realities of it. But yeah, that's great. We're on the fake news list,
Well, the fake news list, I can't find it anywhere, Mike. It's the website definitely isn't.
I'm sure it exists, and I've seen our site on other lists. I've never seen Waking Up Wisconsin listed. That's news to me. So that means they must be fairly frequently updating this.
And they must listen to the show because they wouldn't know we're affiliated otherwise.
By the way, our site, your site, was also on the same site as a list as InfoWars and Prison Planet. And they said that we take real news stories. So we're not what they were calling a satire site or a parody site. We take real news stories, but then we spin them to scare the public.
Yes, we
that's
scare everyone. That's what we do. We love to scare people.
Well, we just
Right.
report the news. We actually are unbiased. I think both of us are pretty much unbiased.
And I'm pretty sure we joke about everything. We're not really trying to scare anyone.
I think they're scared of us.
It's sort of funny when I think about the suppression that my YouTube channel faces today, and then I look back to the old days of Waking Up Wisconsin, because I'm reminded that I've pretty much been canceled since day one. I was being labeled as fake news long before I was ever even given a fair shot to compete with the so-called real news. And I suppose it shouldn't have come as a surprise that within the following year...